Welcome everyone, Sam from the Footy Gods here, talking about season 2023, first video of the year, and we're going to help you pick your team. So I'm going to go through in our first video and discuss my list for picking each player. So what I like to go through and think about when I pick each player. It's worked pretty well for me in the past, finished top 200 last year and hoping to go a bit better this year, maybe crack into the top 100. So first part of my list is the pretty obvious one, scoring. Okay, so name of the game of SuperCoach is to score as many points as you can in each week. So scoring is number one on my list of my cheat sheet in terms of picking a player. But there's a couple of little sub lists we got to think about when we're looking at the players scoring. Okay, so first of all is scoring pedigree. Have they got the runs on the board? Have they done this in the past? Can we rely on them to back it up, or are they likely to back up their previous scoring? Next one, potential. Scoring potential. So really important when we're picking perhaps a breakout candidate or even a primo. What's their potential? What's their ceiling? Can they go big? Really important. I like to pick the players that can go big. Consistency. So massive one here. How often can they back up their scores week in, week out? Really big one. Scoring trends. Okay, are they trending upwards? What's their previous history look like? Are they in that age demographic where they can go better? They got more gas left in the tank, and can they improve on their previous averages? As well to think about is, are they a VC or a C option? So they're the first sort of things I want to check off in the scoring category when I'm picking a player. So really important. Think about their history. Have they done it before? What can they achieve? How often can they achieve it? And are they trending on the way up or on the way down? Next would be tenure. So I've got tenure here. So that's my next little sub list. Just bold that one. And this might be more in relation to rookies, but still something to think about for all players across the board. First of all, job security. Right? So obviously really important. Are they playing 23 games? So huge, when we're picking a player, we want to obviously get them as many games as possible to save a trade. So big one to think about. Injury concerns. Do they have a history of injuries? So whether it's a rookie or a mid-price or a primo, we've got to think about what they've done in the past in terms of injuries. Do they have an ongoing niggle, soft tissue problems, these sorts of things? So really important to think about. Players' role. So huge. So this can change obviously year to year, but what the player's doing on the field is going to directly dictate how many points they can get for us. So really important to make sure that we're all around what the player's role is for the team, whether it's halfback, inside midfield, outside midfield, key position. So these all make a big difference to what they're going to score. And then there's some other factors as well, So coaching. Is the coach going to play funny buggers with us and put them in a different weird spot? We have been known to see that in the past for some coaches. Sub. We've got the new sub rule. So is there potential for them to be a sub? So really important to think about. Next in my sub list, or my list, is price. Okay, so are they a value pick? Are they a keeper pick? So really important to think about when you're picking the player. If you're going to be spending up, you've got to make sure they're a keeper. If you're looking for a bit of value, look for that 300 to 400k price. So their price will directly dictate what you plan to do with them. Does their price fit in with your team structure? Okay, so you don't want to spend up too big on one line because that will directly impact another line. Is it a risk reward pick? So how much are we spending and how much of a reward are we planning to get back? The lower price lower price players, obviously less risk when there's less money spent, but you might get a nice little reward. More money spent on the bigger players, maybe a higher risk, spending more money, but you might get a bigger reward, bigger scores on the board. So something to think about when you're looking at your price. And a couple other ones to think about as well. These are just sort of minor ones, but the fixture is obviously really important. So, how many home games do they have in the first half of the season? Are they playing weaker teams? So who are their opponents? Do the opponents give up big points? And do the opponents have taggers? So depending on what the player is, obviously it's not going to matter for, say a ruckman or a key position player, but looking at a midfielder or even a halfback player, it's important to be familiar with what sort of taggers they may encounter in the first few weeks. So, and the last one, I just sort of put this as miscellaneous, right? So this is the miscellaneous sort of a section. Ownership percentage. So, there it is. How much are they owned? And so it will directly impact the risk. So we will talk about the risk reward. Obviously, if a player's highly owned, the risk is mitigated because there's a lot of other people taking the same risk as you. But if the player is low owned, 5-10%, then you're taking on more risk because it could really backfire, and then that way you're a step behind the competition. On the other hand, there could be a reward as well. So if it's a low owned player and it pays off, then happy days. That's sort of one of the main things with SuperCoach is finding that player that no one owns and goes big. Team, do you like the team they play for? Do you hate them? Do you support the team they play for? You might favor a certain pick over another pick because you support that team. That is completely fine. We talk about ownership. So gut feel as well. So gut feel is massive. So yes, it's at the bottom of this list, but gut feel might be the most important. Really would be, because if you back in your gut and it pays off, you feel great. If you back in your gut and it doesn't pay off, well, okay, at least you backed in your gut, right? But if you don't back in your gut and it backfires on you, you're just kicking yourself, really kicking yourself. So really important to back your gut. And if you've done your research, back your gut. And a lot of the times, more often than not, it'll work out for you if you've done the right research. So that's a general run through. I mean, there may be some other factors that come up when we're discussing our player reviews, but that really is what I like to go through and look at. Can they score? How consistent can they score? Are they a lock in the team? Do they have a history of injuries? What's their role? Are they a value? Can we get some meat on the bone in terms of their price versus their output? Does it fit my team structure? Is there a risk reward attached? You've got to weigh that up. And then the fixture, who are they playing in the first 2 months? Does their opponents give up big points? Do their opponents tag? What's their sort of game style? And then have a quick look at the ownership percentage of the player. Do they play for a team that I want to support? And go on your gut. Back your gut in, and more often than not, you'll be rewarded. So I hope you like this video, guys. Just a quick run through of what I go through in deciding my players. So in the next couple of videos, we're going to be evaluating some players on each line by using this formula. And you'll be surprised how often this comes out with a pretty reasonable scenario to pick a player or not. So really appreciate you tuning in. Stay tuned. We're going to have more coming very soon. And I want to leave some comments down below of what player you want to see us do. All right. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Appreciate you. Cheers.